I am in.
Okay. You in?
Yep.
Much Lynch. Set? Okay, thank you everyone for attending our April 15th meeting. And please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's move right on to the item 3A on our agenda, a master service agreement with Emeritus Healthcare Staffing Inquiry. Hi, Mike.
Good morning. Okay, so this is a contract for temp staff, therapists specifically, to help us with some of our backlog. They are in-house, they are not telehealth, so once we get someone through this contract, they will come to our building to provide services. We're looking at potentially one or two for 90 days to start and see how far we can get with the backlog.
Thank you. Have a motion?
Mr. Chair, move approval of master service agreement with Emeritus Healthcare Staffing, Inc., and authorize Department Head Mike Rowley to sign.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion is approved.
Thank you.
And you're done?
Yes.
It's a new record.
Thanks, Mike.
Southern Wellness. Okay.
And we switch one mic for another.
It's a morning
morning,
of
Mike.
Mike's. Good morning,
Good
Mike.
morning, Commissioners.
We'll move on to item 3B, contract for dispatch services with the City of Coos Bay Community Corrections.
Yes, here to ask the board to approve a contract between Dispatch, Coos Bay Dispatch, and Coos County Community Corrections. This contract provides the Dispatch 24/7 center that provides contact with my parole officers. Ask the contract to be approved for 7/1/25 through 6/30/26. Amount is $10,400 per year, paid quarterly. The funding source is the Oregon Department of Corrections, state grant and aid. Ask the board to approve the contract between the City of Coos Bay.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, move to approve and sign the contract with City of Coos Bay for the amount of $10,400 per year for dispatch services for Coos County Community Corrections.
And I second that. Discussion?
Mike, this was in your budget already.
Yes, it
Anyway,
was.
yeah, thank you.
Yes.
All right. Ready for the vote? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion approved. Thank you, Mike. And we'll move on to 3C, also yours.
Yes, ask the board for approval of an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Reedsport and Community Corrections. This would be for one jail bed in the amount of $43,800 with an additional possible $10,000 per year if we needed it. The term of the IGA is July 1st, 25 through 6/30/26. Grant and aid from the Oregon Department of Corrections is the funding source. Ask the board to approve that one bed with the City of Reedsport.
But with the possibility of a second one.
Possibility
For
of
another $10,000.
Another $10,000. And the reason we need that, there are instances where we need somebody held and we already have somebody there and we're not willing to release that person.
Good.
And they're not going to be held. And for whatever, there are reasons why we want them either to move them somewhere else or something's going to happen. So we need them held for a period of time. So we need that flexibility.
Good. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, move approval of the 7th Amendment to the IGA between City of Reedsport and Community Corrections for one bed in the amount of $43,800 and an additional bed up to $10,000 per year. The term of this IGA shall be effective July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2026, and also authorize the chair to sign.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion approved. Thank you, Michael. Oh,
Got a
you're still
couple
here.
more.
Still here.
Good Lord, going on
Yep.
and on.
Yep. Longest in a while.
You made up for the other Mike. 3D, request approval of amendment number 5 to the agreement with Coastal Center.
Yes, ask the board to approve the IGA, or between the Coastal Center contract for $2,500 a month, total $30,000. This agreement, July 1st, 25 through June 30th, 26, $30,000. This provides sex offender treatment for the population that we supervise.
We have a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the Fifth Amendment to the letter of agreement between Coastal Center and Community Corrections in the amount of $30,000 per year for sex offender treatment for Community Corrections clients. The term of the agreement shall be from July 1, 2025 through July 30, 2026, and we will authorize
30.
Chair to sign. What?
June 30.
Oh, yeah.
All right. A second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Just a question. for
Yes.
Mike. If I recall correctly, and I'm trying to remember, or I heard something might have changed, are we still able to bill monitored sex offenders that come into the county? If I remember right, we were able to bill them for 1 year for their observation costs at some point.
Well, if someone's transferring here
Yeah.
from another state or wherever, one thing we don't want is for them to become a burden on us. So we've required that they pay for some treatment costs up front.
Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion approved. Get here, you're hard to get rid of, Mike. Item
I am.
3E.
This is
At
the
least
last
he's
item.
pleasant to have around, Mr. Chair.
Well, that. Approval of the 8th Amendment to the letter of agreement between Bay Area First Step and Coos County Community Corrections.
Yes, this agreement would be for 13 beds, $725 per month per bed, in the amount of $113,100 from July 1st, 25 through June 30th, 26. This is for clean and sober housing. We use it for transition for prison. The funding source is state grant and aid, Oregon Department of Corrections. Ask the board to approve the $113,100 per year for 13 clean and sober beds from the dates July 1st, 25, June 30th, 26.
Move approval of the 8th Amendment to the letter of agreement between Bay Area First Step and Coos County Community Corrections in the amount of $113,100 per year for 13 clean and sober beds. Agreement is from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026.
Authorized chair to sign.
Authorized chair to sign.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. Where is their facility?
They have several.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, there's multiple housing options depending on what their status is, where we put them or where we're able to house them. So it's not just one facility.
Further discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion approved.
Thank you.
Michael, thank you very much. Item 3F, request approval to pay an invoice from Cash Rasoff. Sheriff, good morning again.
Good morning, gentlemen. Oh, thank you. Carasoft is a software that Cent uses to help process some of their fancy stuff like Celebrate, et cetera. This is actually paid for out of the grant, the Marijuana Enforcement Grant, CJC grant they have. So requesting approval, this is a renewal in the amount of $18,752.61.
Mr. Chair, I move approval to purchase Carasoft software as described.
Second?
A motion and a second. Discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion approved. Item 3G, request approval to pay the invoice from Systech. Sheriff.
Just two for me today, this is great. Also out of a grant, this will actually be the last thing we use out of the COPS technology grant, but this is part of the getting the CMI going for the dispatch consolidation. Sorry, I'm having trouble today. Anyway, so request approval to pay $11,028.75 out of the grant, 15J COPS 22-66-01543-TECP to Systech.
Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, move approval of payment to Systech IT Services in the amount of $11,028.75 from grant funds.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion approved. Thank you, Sheriff.
Only 2 today.
That's good.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, item 3H, request approval of a resolution for the CAFA grant application. Megan. Thank you. Megan, how are you this morning?
Just great.
I'm glad to hear
Yes.
that, Megan. Last week, I kept calling her something other than Megan. It was a nice word, it just wasn't her name.
So this is our annual application for funding to remain in compliance with laws requiring equity and uniformity in the system of property taxation, otherwise known as the CAFA grant.
Mr. Chair, move approval of Resolution 2504069B.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion approved. Good job, Megan. Thank you. And we move on then to item 3I, request approval to purchase herbicides for the cost share program.
Good morning, everybody.
Good
So
morning.
for anybody that doesn't know what our cost share program is, the Coos County Noxious Weed Board has a program that focuses on putting plans together with property owners for manual, biological, or chemical removal of noxious weeds. And so we get grant money. This is not any general fund dollars. It's either paid by applicant or by grant. Part of that program is teaching people how to safely remove noxious weeds if they're going to use chemical to do so. They have to take a mandatory class. It's taught by 3 certified applicators. They're also taught how to dispose of chemicals correctly through household hazardous waste programs. And then we monitor and follow up with the applicants to see how they're doing on the removal of their noxious weeds. So part of that program requires that we purchase herbicides. We went out for quotes and we only received 2 before we were able to do this deadline. So I was waiting for the 3rd. So that's why it's worded to work with council to develop that contract and move forward with it so we don't miss our spring deadline.
Thank you, Jill. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve the purchase of herbicide products for use in the Coos County Noxious Weed Cost Share Program in an amount not to exceed $35,000, contingent upon receiving 3 competitive quotes and final contract approval by County Council. Contract should be valid for 1 year from the date of the signature by all parties.
Do we have a second? I second the motion. Discussion. Since there may be some.
Yeah, there is going to be some discussion. Jill, what percentage of this $35,000 would you estimate is spent on glyphosate products?
I don't have an accurate answer, but I would say probably 10%. Glyphosate is not the #1 product, and we don't use true glyphosate. We use an aquatic product that's similar to glyphosate called rodeo. All of our products have to be water safe in order to spray because we do get funding from the federal government, and that's their requirement.
So when you say water safe, does that, I infer from the distinction that you've drawn that glyphosate may not be determined as water safe?
There's different glyphosate products. So one glyphosate product is you cannot spray around water. And then the other one is an aquatic-based product. So it's safe to spray around water systems. And so We also have to evaluate whether you're using this on residential property or non-residential property. If you're using on residential property, glyphosate is not what we are going to recommend that you purchase. Glyphosate usually is used in more of a farm or agricultural type application.
Further
Right.
discussion?
I had to look up glyphosate.
Roundup.
It's
Well-
Roundup is the normal term for
Yeah,
glyphosate.
and due to its status as a nearly ubiquitous weed-killing product, it's now present in almost all of our food. And it is a carcinogen, and it's an endocrine disruptor, and it's a horrible product that I anticipate is not going to be around a lot longer, and we shouldn't be using it at all or advocating its use as a county.
We do not, and we do not advocate any use of herbicides because we're not allowed to do that. You have to use a manual, and it comes from Oregon Department of Ag, and then it filters through the state program. And so we're not allowed to tell you what herbicides you can and cannot use. We have to go by what the recommended label is.
Is there any further discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Motion is approved, 2-1. Thank you, and we'll move on to item 3J, request approval of reclassification for Amy Dibble.
Yes, so part of our reorganizing our department as we shifted some work towards between our management staff, and it also took some work from our vacant positions that we had open. So this is reclassifying to allow her to do that work and take some of the pressure off of me, to be honest with you. So
Mr. Chair, I move approval of reclassification for Amy Dibble to Administrative Development Manager, Step 4, plus 6%, effective May 1st, 2025, and approve and sign Resolution 2504058P.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, motion is approved.
okay, thank
Jill,
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jill.
Moving on then to item 3K, request ratification of the liaison approval to hire the IT systems administrator at step 4. Who wants to take that? Aha, there you are, Darius.
Good morning. As you know, the IT systems administrator position has been open for 6 months. We've had a real tough time finding a candidate. We received an application a couple, 3 or 4 weeks ago, a very qualified candidate with a lot of experience. He was currently working from home, so remotely working, and really wanted to get back into working directly with users. His current rate was just a couple dollars lower than step 4, and so there was no way we were going to be able to get him and ask him to take a cut in pay.
We have a motion.
Mr. Chair, move to ratify liaison approval for the Step 4 hire for a new hire, Jeremy Geyer, in the position of IT Systems Administrator.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'm glad you found somebody.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. His qualifications are a really great fit, and I met with him on Wednesday. I think he's going to be a good fit with the county and with my staff.
Good, that's
Yeah.
great. I've been concerned
I think it was
about
worth
you
waiting
guys.
for, but boy, it was a tough 6 months.
I know it. I know it has been, and
You're
thank
telling
you.
us.
Sorry.
Well, kudos and thanks to both you and Susie for the
Yeah.
overtime that you guys, I know, have both put in over these months.
Yeah.
It's been rough, I know.
Yeah.
And
Thank
IT
you.
can be an underestimated department, but if anybody wants to see what happens when it's not done well enough, you just look a little south to Curry County and how long they couldn't operate without it, so.
And what it cost them.
Oh, yeah, it was through the roof.
Well, and our jobs are pretty much everything we do involves some sort of technology. So when there's a breakdown in that, whether it's a small breakdown or a large one, it really affects productivity. You guys know, when you struggle with like a virtual meeting room or an email issue, it can really slow down getting things done in a timely manner, so.
And I
yeah.
think
For a
down there
lot
they
of
even
people.
lost
Yeah.
court files, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure, yeah,
Very
thank
good.
you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
we didn't vote yet.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion approved. Item 3L, request approval of a PERS retiree policy. HR, Caroline, thank you.
Good morning. So we did have a PERS retiree policy in place. It did sunset on December 31, 2024. The reason we had the end date on it was because House Bill 1049 was supposed to end on that date. However, since then, they had House Bill 2296, which extended provisions of Senate Bill 1049, and therefore I have prepared an amended PERS retiree policy that just sets out some rules and regulations if there is an employee who wants to retire under PERS and come back under some circumstances. And the retiree policy pretty much says that they have to go before the Board of Commissioners for approval.
Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, move to approve and sign the PERS retiree policy on this date, April 15th, 2025, and sign Resolution 2504057L.
Second?
Motion and a second. Do we have discussion?
Nope.
I will, just for a moment. We've had a policy that was kind of unfriendly to allowing people to retire, take their PERS, and then come back to work. We've found that that's a bit restrictive. I can cite, if you come to a certain age, and if you don't retire, you're not going to live to enjoy your PERS retirement. Now, we're not putting this in for me, but but I can relate.
I like how you got ahead of any jokes on that.
So it's commonly, it's uncommon amongst counties that we've talked to, at least, to have real tough restrictions to rehiring. So we've rethought this, and I certainly think it's a good idea. So, at any rate, if there's not further discussion, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, this motion is approved. Thank you, Caroline. Item 3M, request approval of the purchase and sale agreement for a proposed campsite near Whiskey Run Trails, and authorize chair to sign. And please thank the Lord for James not being here today.
It's a public meeting, Commissioner.
Pardon me?
It's a public
I
meeting.
know it is.
He's used to us.
So this is a purchase and sale agreement between David L. Beck and Coos County for property described as 27S 1421-00-01700, account number 763703, 3-acre parcel up near Whiskey Run Trails, been proposed as a campsite. This is to be paid for out of the Forest and Parks Trust Fund, and we're requesting board to approve the purchase and sale agreement and authorizing board chair to sign.
Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, move to approve the purchase and sale agreement and authorize the board chair to sign.
Second?
We have a motion and a second discussion. Would like to talk a little bit about this. This is a 3-acre parcel lying contingent to Whiskey Run Lane, which is where our mountain bike trail is located, and is also on the path of the Oregon Coastal Touring Bike Trail. It's a nice piece of property. We were able to get about half of the funding from grants, a little less than half. So although some of it's coming out of our Forest and Parks Trust Fund, a good part of it's coming out of grants. Over time, we have to go through planning first. It'll be a public, a time for public comment before anything is done, anything big is done. And so that's where we are on it. Well, and it was deemed by a group of graduate students that we had looked at our bike trails and asked them, what amenities would be nice to have here, and this is one of the things that rose to the top of the list. So, any rate, any further discussion?
Nope.
If not, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion is approved. Moving on to item 3N, request approval of the fourth supplement to a permit for Nasika Park and authorized chair to sign. County Council.
Yeah, we have a permit with Weyerhaeuser for Nasika Park, and that's a long-running arrangement. This would be an extension of the term of that for another 20 years, through March 31st, 2045. Did I get that right, Craig?
And this is a park that's on the, clear up by Allegheny. I don't know what river it's on, but
It's on the.
on the Millicoma.
Yeah, East
Yeah,
Fork.
it's way up there, I'll tell you that. So, any discussion?
I think,
Oh, do
I
we have a
think
motion
that,
and a second?
yeah, it's, I don't think we had a motion. did we?
Yeah, we better get one of those.
Mr. Chair, move approval and the chair to sign the permit agreement for Nasika Park through March 31st, 2045. That's a nice, long term.
Second.
Second?
Yep. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion.
Beautiful little gem we have up there, and I know it's greatly appreciated by steelhead fishermen. And great opportunity. Do we still have the same caretaker up there, Craig?
Yes. Yeah,
Great.
Yep, Dan. Yep.
Very good.
Okay, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion approved. Moving on to item 3O, request approval of employee compensation increases. And I'll take this one. Our non-union employees did not get a pay raise for this current year. If you look at most of our union agreements, the pay raise that they've got, fresh out of a period of high inflation, was about 3%. So I am proposing that we give our non-union employees, who are a very valuable set of employees, a 3% raise, retroactive, not to the very first of this fiscal year, but retroactive to January 1 of this calendar year. And that will kind of catch them up, and so that we are competitive and appreciate them as much as we appreciate our union employees. So that is the rule for this. The cost of this will be in the neighborhood of $70,000. Megan may have a more accurate figure than that, but it's right in that area. And we had some extra money that was put into the forest fund above that which was required. We used part of that money to balance the budget, and I'm proposing that we use another $70,000 out of that fund to fund these raises. And this has the wholehearted blessing of the county forester, which is pretty hard to come by. So, with that, open it up for a motion.
I'll move Board of Commissioners to approve a 3% pay increase retroactive to January 1st, 2025 for all current non-union employees except the commissioners and the non-union employees who receive pay increases as of 3/1/25 in lieu of a budgeted increase.
This would not apply to any of our
Second.
elected officials.
Oh, it only said commissioners here.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Except elected officials.
I second the amended motion.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second discussion.
I just think it should be noted on here as well. It's longer than last year. It's there's not been a pay increase since July 1st of 2023, so it is farther back, quite a ways, as you noted in here.
But you're right, but they received that increase in 2023.
I see.
That was the last one that was approved.
And I will additionally note that the 3% COLA increase proposed here is in order to maintain an appropriate compensation separation between management and the staff that they manage. And that had come into, those numbers had come very close. And so we're grateful for the service of our other elected officials in the county and our department heads. And so we want to recognize that. I'll also note that if economic trends continue the way that they have over the last couple of years, we will not be able to continue to address these disparities this way. And this is like the end of what we'll be able to actually do in terms of pay increases until we find better revenue sources for the county.
Well, we have an option, and that option is to reduce expenses.
Can't understand, can you talk a little louder, or do I need to close it?
Get up front.
Showing your laughing.
Don't you dare.
Word might get out.
What didn't you hear?
I didn't hear hardly anything you said.
Oh, good, all right. Those in
I'm like
favor?
you, you don't listen to me and I don't listen to you.
That's fair.
All right.
Caroline?
Just a joke.
Could I-
Just joking.
Could I just I just want to clarify, this would be applicable though to the elected officials, assessor, surveyor, and clerk.
I don't think we can do that without the budget, or without this compensation committee's approval. Megan, can you elaborate on that?
Why are elected officials referenced in here?
Well, it was a mistake. Oh, hold it. Except, yeah.
It differs in the start to the resolution, I believe.
So elected officials' salaries cannot be changed without the budget committee's approval.
Okay.
And so the budget committee approved a 5% increase for elected officials besides the commissioners in the budget process. So they will get 5% as of July 1st. We may have to revisit the sheriff, would be the only one, depending on what happens here.
Understand that? Got that?
Yep.
So the bottom portion should be amended to actually say, for, except commissioners, elected officials, and non-union employees.
Yeah, and we did,
So amended.
kinda.
So
Okay.
it's just non-union. You can just say non-union
Non-union.
and it covers it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yes, except for those.
Bobby, you got a motion that covers all this? Okay. That's the important thing. So, any further discussion?
Nope.
Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, the motion is approved. Thanks, Megan. Thanks, Caroline. And let's move on to late agenda items. request approval of a contract with Pacific Power and authorize Brad Burnett,
Lisa.
the Chair Board President, to sign. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
How are
Bobby.
you?
How are you guys today?
Fine.
Good. Thank you for your time. Today, I am requesting that you approve Brad Burnett, the Coos County Fair Board, Fair and Rodeo Fair Chair, to sign the general service contract with Pacific Power in the amount not to exceed $12,851. This will allow power to be brought down to the amphitheater, and then from there, I will be back to request again additional services. But for now, this will at least bring the power to the new stage area, and we will be able to move forward with the project.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Brad Burnett, Coos County Fair and Rodeo Chair, to sign the general service agreement contract with Pacific Power in an amount not to exceed $12,851.
Second?
I have a motion and a second discussion. For those in the audience that are not aware, the Fair Board is creating a new entertainment venue. They've did the groundwork, a lot of the ground prep last year, and created a slightly sloping, triangular shaped area. That's the point of the triangle would be where the stage will be, and then from there the lawn slopes gradually upward. It proved to be a really good place, and they're continuing to work on that. And this year they've put in some gravel rock on which the stage will be built, so it will be elevated. And the idea is that ultimately it will be fenced in and surrounded with landscaping, and it's going to be a nice venue, not only for the fair, but for the county as a whole. So, and pretty much all being done with revenues that the fair generates and grants we've been able to get. Very active fair board, very good county representation.
Thank you.
In our business manager, Lisa. And so is there a further discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion is approved. But before you leave, you have a guest today, and you need to introduce her.
I do have my guest today. I have my daughter, my eldest daughter, Mackenzie, in the back, if you'll wave.
Hi, Mackenzie.
Hi, Mackenzie, thanks for coming.
She chose to come today. She had an option for me to go back and get her, and she asked if she could come and see what a Board of Commissioners meeting looked like. So I said, of course.
Mackenzie, do you have political aspirations? Not yet?
If you do, we have Coos Health and Wellness.
They have an emergency response team.
And Sheriff, I think she's a truant, so would you see to it that
While we were eating
get her back to
breakfast,
school?
I did show her parole and probation that was out there, and I said, this is why we go to school, girlfriend.
That's why.
So, thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Lisa. Bye-bye. Okay, moving on to
Call a
item-
vote?
Oh, those in favor, please. Or did we have a vote? We
Oh,
voted, okay.
sorry.
Moving on to item 5B, request
Oh.
approval to purchase a used tractor. Parks.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Lefty.
Yeah, one-arm wonder. Yes, this is, the Parks has an approval in our fiscal year 25 budget to purchase a tractor. We requested quotes and received two. We wish to purchase this used tractor for the low quote from Kubota, the amount of $38,000.
Mr. Chair, I move approval to purchase a used tractor from Kubota in the amount of $38,000 for parks.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Just to note for the public, this is a department that generates revenue, so when they need an expense, that's towards revenue generation that offsets the general fund and helps us not have to ask for more money from the public.
I'll elaborate a little bit on that. Our parks is self-supporting. They had the money to fund this tractor. I've seen pictures of it. It's used, but I don't know how it was used because it
it's immaculate.
looks brand new.
Yeah.
Never seen any mud. And in addition to having the money to make purchases such as this of equipment they need, they have also contributed both last year and this year, $100,000, or this next year, $100,000 of their profit, so to speak, to the general fund.
Yes.
So, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion is approved. And, thank you, Craig. Request approval of contract, oh, Sheriff, you're back up here. I'm sorry, I didn't notice this earlier. Of a contract with Freedom Fence. And approve an authorization or a resolution.
Sorry for the late.
I'm sorry, I didn't pick up on that earlier.
Oh, no, that's quite all right. And this is the, so the opioid funding that was given to ADAPT, or no, I'm sorry, the legislative funding, the $400,000 that was given to ADAPT, that's the money where it would come out of. ADAPT is going to pay this invoice, but we need to approve the contract. We'll be invoicing ADAPT for reimbursement on this. So request approval to contract with Freedom Fence, they're out of Sutherland, in the amount of $27,300 to build the fencing that'll be the new evidence area so we can clear it up so the sobering center can do their thing and move in.
Okay. A motion.
I'll move to approve of contract with Freedom Fence in the amount of $27,300. Approve sheriff to sign and request the board to approve appropriation resolution 25-04-056B.
Second.
Second. Those, any discussion? Again, I think the sheriff pointed out, but I'll reiterate that this is part of making room for the sobering center that is being funded largely by, almost entirely by opioid settlement funds. A much needed facility.
Absolutely.
Currently, if you have those kinds of problems that you need to be there, you either go to the hospital or jail, and neither is appropriate.
Yeah.
Or you don't go anywhere.
Hopefully it'll help.
Except back on the streets. And
Yes, sir.
none of those three are appropriate. So this is a great step forward for
It is.
our county, and thank you for taking this on.
Oh, this has been a joint collaboration, and it's great to see ADAPT, Coos Bay, so many different people work, or so many different agencies working on this together. It's awesome, and it should unburden the public safety system a little bit, at least so that the ones that we can't hold, because typically it's trespass or disorderly conduct at lower level, so pretty
Would
excited
point out
about
that
it.
one of our local philanthropic organizations made a nice contribution
Yes, sir.
to make this happen.
Absolutely.
And it's more than just those suffering from opioid addiction. It would be anyone who needs to
Yes.
sober up
Yeah.
Yep.
for a period of time. So.
For all influence, absolutely. Access to treatment, it's a good thing.
All right, any further discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion approved.
All right, get it going.
And thank you.
gentlemen.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Again.
Now you may go. You should have said something earlier. I'm sorry.
I'm here for the long haul.
Didn't read that. And item 5D, that's a request approval of a resolution approving design work for our gas pipeline slide repair. County Council?
Yes, this is Resolution 25-04-071L. This would approve a plan for special services pursuant to an existing service agreement we have with Northwest Natural for them to develop a design for a horizontal drilling project. This is a long-term fix to a problem we've had at the mile, excuse me,
98 miles.
98 mile
98 mile.
slide, yeah. So I'd request approval of the resolution.
Have
Mr.
a
Chair, I move approval of Resolution 25-04-071L.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Discussion.
It's going to be very nice to move toward a a more permanent resolution to this continuing problem on the pipeline.
Yeah.
One of several, but these are important. I mean, it's really, we don't really have any choice but to fix this, because having a high-pressure pipeline fail in the county is not really an option. So, and this is conducive toward the end of hopefully eliminating the pipeline from the county's inventory at some point in the future.
That's 1,200 homes and quite a few of our largest tax-paying businesses, so, yeah.
Pipeline's important.
Yep.
Further discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, the motion is approved. Consent calendar?
Mr. Chair, move approval of the consent calendar as presented.
Second?
Any discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion approved. Commissioners' reports. Commissioner Taylor, you want to start? Oh, first, you have a babysitting job, I think. You better get to.
Nope, we have it covered.
You have, okay, very
Yeah.
good. His wife got called to jury duty today. So he thought was called to do higher work than being an attorney.
Fatherly duties.
So anyway, excuse me, your turn.
Not a lot to report, but it is a blessing to be through the budget process. As everyone in the room is probably aware, we were able to arrive at a balanced budget, thanks partly to parks, in big part to the forestry department, and unfortunately there were some staff at the county who are going to be facing the elimination of their positions. And I do want to make clear that those position eliminations were all strictly a budgetary consideration. There wasn't anyone who's losing their position for any reason other than that. And it's a grievous thing from a commissioner's perspective to have to make that kind of a decision that actually was shared among all of the budget committee up here. And it's like our last choice. And so it came at much angst, and it's not what we wanted to do, but costs simply outpace revenues. There is so little resolution. We actually ended up cutting in a couple of departments really beyond the bone. I mean, there are now real operational difficulties encountered as a result of the difficult decisions that we had to make. And that's not lost on us. And we continue to seek further revenue opportunities because the increases in property taxes, first of all, are not something that's palatable. And secondly, at the limitations set by measures 5 and 50 doesn't keep pace with inflation. So I hope that we see, as we discussed in executive today, the possibility of a reduction in consumer price index, but I don't know if we'll see that ever or not. Anyway, it was a tough series of meetings in budget, and we're glad to be done with it. Also, I'll mention that if there's any time left after this meeting today, there is an offshore wind energy roundtable meeting occurring. That's a public meeting. So if anybody's inclined to jump on there and express their outrage at the state continuing to expend resources on this ridiculous boondoggle anti-science foolishness, then that would be a good idea to express that.
Is that water-related one?
Sorry?
Is that the water-related one?
That is the offshore wind energy project. The state Department of State Lands is having a continuing series of these roundtable meetings.
Meeting
The meeting is purely virtual today, so you would have to go to the DLCD, the Department of Land Conservation and Development site to find the link for that meeting. But it did start at 10 a.m. and it will be going all day. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
I'd like you to work, to be a little more transparent about how you feel about some of these.
Wind energy blows.
Next, Drew?
So yeah, I just second being glad we're done with the budget. There are cuts, all those are people. It's never fun to do. It's never fun to walk into. We did balance it out to retain patrol and jail at the level they're at, but there are going to be folks that say, well, the money was there, it's not sustainable. There's going to have to be new solutions as we roll forward. For my portion, that's economic development aspects. It's working with South Coast Development Council, CCD. I was at meetings on the housing crisis over the course of the last half of last week after we finished the budget in the first half. Finding ways we can develop more housing is going to be probably the first component of further development because, as was presented at the meeting by Greg Drobot, when they did the Front Street development in Coos Bay, there were businesses that wanted to build larger, but they didn't believe they could get the people to staff them. So one of our biggest barriers to development is even when it's happening, the lack of housing for employees is holding back that development. Was glad to be able to speak at the groundbreaking for the 105-unit development going in at the Bangor School site. I know some folks have concerns over the fact that that is nonprofit. However, when we look at this, there are businesses that can't grow or hire because there is no housing. And I think I told John wrong, it's 0 to 60% AMI, but when average median income for the area, so low income. But when I reflect back on my time as a job developer for folks with disabilities, there are people that contribute to our community, but they can't work enough to beat 60% AMI, and they still need somewhere to live, and they still support businesses by working in them to the extent they can. So housing of this type is necessary, and the market won't always generate it, so that's where things like this step in. I don't want to ramble on too long. Met with one of the city councilors for Coquille yesterday to learn more about their situation. I've been talking with folks in North County about how they're looking at addressing law enforcement for their own regions. So it's also important as county commissioners that we coordinate with cities because that's so it's less than half of our citizens live on county land, but more than 70% of our jobs are within cities. So we have to maintain that coordination. And yeah, I'll just cut it off there. Yeah.
I'd like to go back a little bit to budget. As Commissioner Taylor said, it's really hard. Our given 5 and 50, these measures that restrict, thank heavens, the increases in property taxes. It's great if you're a property owner. It's not so good if you're trying to run a governmental agency. Our costs just increase more quickly than our revenues do. I was very, very proud of all of our departments. They put together budgets that were really, really tight. After we recognized that we had $1,800,000 deficit, we went back, and the first thing we did was review all non-personnel line items in our budget. we couldn't find any fluff. We went through department, line item by line item. Didn't find any money. Their budgets were that well put together. And perhaps the tightest of all the budgets was the sheriff's. In the end, we ended up having the $1,800,000 deficit to correct. We were able to take we dealt with it kind of 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, and these are round numbers. But we were able to take about $600,000 of surpluses, and I think they're sustainable, that our parks and our solid waste departments have managed to put together. They're run very efficiently, doing a great job, deliver good services, and pay their own way, and have a little surplus. And so they were able to commit that to the general fund on an ongoing basis. We also took about $600,000 out of non-sustainable sources of revenue. We raided the forestry fund for some of that. A couple accounts, the American Rescue Plan money that's left over hasn't been spent yet, and the opioid money, both have been put into interest-bearing investments. That's our money to keep. It doesn't have to go back. And so thanks to the work of our finance director, we had that. And it's not sustainable, but at least it got us through this year. And then with the help of the some excess money we had in the forestry fund above and beyond what was necessary to commit to that, we took a good chunk of that. And then the other $600,000 we got by reducing head count. And a tough thing to do. And it's going to impact the way some of our departments function. They will not be able to be as responsive to the citizens' needs as they have been in times past. Frankly, I think we've endured cut after cut after cut, and somehow stretched everything, including our personnel, and have not reduced our services to our citizens. So maybe in this respect, it is a good thing. It'll show them that there are some consequences if the county isn't properly supported, adequately supported. And I won't go back over my talk about how many positions we've cut in times past and how slim we keep our operation. So that was good. On the pipeline has become very, very important to our region. You look around, and our major employers are all pretty much dependent on energy from the pipeline. New investment, which would be GMA Garnett, the new wood pellet mill that Southport Lumber Company has put in, and even perhaps the container terminal, if that should become a reality, are all dependent upon natural gas, or will be somewhat dependent on natural gas. So we have to keep that going, and yet we have these major issues with slides and the pipeline trenches along the river being washed out that we can't afford to repair. So to that end, Colton and I will be meeting with the Oregon PUC next week to start the process to see if we can sell the pipeline. So isn't something you just put in the paper and say pipeline for sale like a house. Yeah,
But if there was an offer in the room,
yeah, we'll
No.
take you up on it.
Anybody want a pipeline?
So, any rate, that concludes my comments, and so then we move on to citizen comments. And Phil, are you going to come up here and?
been a while.
Good to see you. I can only imagine how much he saved up for us. But we're playing catch up here.
Phil Thompson, Coos Bay, and how are all of you guys this morning?
Hi, Phil.
Nice to have you here.
What I'm going to say is my own opinion, my own thoughts, okay? Every time we say the Pledge of Allegiance, you know, you really got to think about what you said. There's a lot of, I'm going to use my language too, hypocrites that they stand there and they put their hand over the heart and say that, and they don't mean everybody has the same choice or have the same privileges in this country. Life, liberty, any of it. And I'm serious. This bugs me. Here not long ago, we had a resolution on the floor right here, and I thank the commissioners and the sheriff and the DA, everyone that spoke on the subject, and it was about the resolution about giving ICE the authority or the police here helping ICE and so forth. And just this morning I saw on TV, you know, they have the right now, I guess the administration we got, to jerk anybody off the street or send them to El Salvador, even though they're citizens and no criminal record, and then they say they can't get them back. That's going way too far, and our people should be standing up and saying enough's enough. You know, once they arrest everybody they can arrest, what we're going to be. I know Hitler went to ovens, you know, and got rid of his problems and stuff. I don't think we'd do that now, but they got a lot of ways to get rid of the people they don't agree with. Now, I'm not against my country. I love it. And I think right now, what the administration is doing, everybody that's really, forget you're a Democrat or a Republican, stand up and say enough's enough. We're a country, I mean, our whole nation is rules and laws. And then the Supreme Court even says, facilitate, bring the man back. And no, they're not the Attorney General or the President. None of them are saying, we're going to bring him back. And he's a citizen, has never been convicted of a crime. He didn't even have a choice. He didn't even get, you know, he couldn't say I'm innocent or anything else. They snatched him up and sent him. Anyway, they're going to have a protest, I think, on the boardwalk this Saturday. You people should be there. There was hundreds there here a week ago. You might not agree with what I'm saying, but you better be careful. The world's changing. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
You know, I don't know, this is citizen comments. This is not a debate.
yeah,
So I
misrepresentation
Well,
of
no.
what was presented on the dais.
Well, we can do that in citizen comments next meeting. Mm-hmm. Or commissioner comments next meeting. I don't want this to turn into a debate. That's not what it's for. And I appreciate that we all have points of view, and we should be able to express them, but this is not a debate. All right, David Jennings.
I'm going to pass, except to say thank you, Phil, for stating your opinion. I support it.
And last but not least, Frank Williams.
Got to take notes.
I'm going to take notes
How
of
long
anything
back
that
up?
you say that's noteworthy.
Jennings, you going to give him your time? Frank Williams, gentleman farmer.
Hang on, Frank, just a second. We're going to check.
One,
make sure
two,
you're back
three.
in class by noon.
You just took up my time.
See.
You know, I like the sheriff we've got here. He's got a kind of a hard job there, you know, with the amount of people he's got to work with. I know he's been pretty busy, but when we went to dinner there, Mr. John, you asked me a question. What would you do about the homeless? I says, well, being a farmer and a rancher, if you don't feed them, they don't come back, right? So I got to watching out here. Section 8 housing is nothing but drug infested, is what I see. And I used to longshore at night, so you drive around at nights. You can drive around at nights now when I go out dancing and for entertainment. Bicycles all over, people with no lights or nothing on them, you know. And I happen to know of one, about 3 or 4 of them, but one of them have Section 8. They got 2 boys, 22 and 27. She's living in a house for $100 a month. So you call housing. So how does this work out? Is this legal? Well, a couple of weeks later, one of the caseworkers, probably that caseworker for that person, says, yeah, that's legal to have 3 people in the house, 3 adults. And of course, you can't get a hold of this. I think it's Matt Vargas. You can't pronounce his name. And then I found out, well, how's one of them boys get overdosed on drugs, and the other one gets a drunken driving ticket when they don't make no money, and they've been living with their mother since July. It's just so I go back. Well, they got a food card. Then they got this. I don't know what they call it. It's TANF. It's a temporary assistant for needy families money, you know. I don't know if that's how they're getting it or not, but evidently they're coming on with getting too much funds or something to be able to do that. And then you go to church, you see the same person. They bought $20 worth of whiskey and $20 worth of cigarettes, and they dropped $2 in the pan when they go around there. So, you know, it's double-edged swords. You know, it's not really funny, but, you know, that's just the way they are. Then I go to the watersheds. Watersheds, $85,000 in our drainage district to push a tube through a tube and put a gate on it. These guys are milking the system. I was promised that they would dig out my property, so I bought several $1,000s worth of warrants. And then, somebody stopped them. I don't know if it's a watershed or who. It needs to be looked into. ODF&W. There you have I have a success story for them. In 2023, I seen pictures of 4 loads of fish died in the trap at Clyde Haggis in Green Acres, Oregon. So what did they do 24? They solved the problem. They closed the trap. The fish died in the creek. Success. They didn't have to work on it. And, you know, there's a lot of things going on down here. You guys are living kind of in a little cubicle, and you're busy with a lot of things. And I appreciate the hard work you do, but there's things that need to be taken care of. I've written Dodge about it, and I even wrote them about the Forest Service. When the county give the money to the Forest Service, when we used to get $12 million back from them when they logged. Now it's for camping and hunting and spotted owls, marbled murrelet, and stuff like that. And so the Forest Service should be logging some of that and giving you guys some of the funds. Now let's go on to the International Port of Coos Bay. 20 years ago, I was doing movies. Build docks, they will come. 20 years later, no docks. Last year, me and my friend went up there. He didn't want to be recognized because he's got a radio station. And he's a good guy, and I'm the bad guy, I guess. He likes soft shoot because he gets, because of somebody might not want to contribute to the station. So I'm up there, and I go, he sent an email, a text, no answer back. So I go knocking on the door. They're supposed to let you know that afternoon. It's been 3 weeks. They're going to have a meeting on Thursday, I guess, again, so or a month, whatever it is. They still haven't contacted me so I could get on the agenda so they talk. They're not. You guys are kind to people. You will talk to them. You will talk to people, But that Port Commission won't. And I'm glad you told me about that meeting, because after I raised Cain and I got a 20-foot billboard out where 40,000 cars went by a day looking at it.
That was you who did that.
That was me. Yes. And I understand that that when the president of the port come down into the restaurant, had coffee with me and Elise had coffee, that his company was the only one that, or the company he works with, was the only one that bid on the windmill stuff. So that sounds like a direct conflict of interest, because I remember when we filmed it on our station over there, that they was going to do windmills out on the North Spit, and it failed. I also understand he has other failures. They evidently don't do background checks. And then I find out that the International Port of Coos Bay turned down $60 million from OCT to build a dock on the North Spit. $60 million.
To build a what?
A dock. You don't know about it, do you? Yeah, well, when you start bragging up a container facility, you should know what they're doing. You can't even get in there. You can't even get in there to find out what they're doing. They numb up. And then we also have on the board another man. I'm not going to say his name, but he's also was up in Salem. He come down halfway down the coast for seal rookery. And I caught him in eating hamburgers. He couldn't even look at me in the eye. He had to look at the floor like a used car salesman. I said, why did you do that? Why did you put that bill in there, Roblin? He says, because Salem would have done worse. So did they have the bill? No. So, a lot of things is going on. They have people on that board, and they said, well, why are you doing this? I said, because there's nobody on that port that knows a darn thing about shipping. And now Coos County's laying off employees. And there's kids up in that Marshfield High School and North Bend High School that's going to come out of there that's not going to have a job. That's why I'm doing this. Then you go to the health service. Do you know there's $4,000 for shot for some of the shots?
Frank, listen to me. Finish up in health service, then I think your 3 minutes is over. But,
the health service is $4,000 a shots. And some of the drugs are given out. I know 3 people that are having side effects from them drugs. And the corrections never got back to me neither. And I wanted to do a show on that so that people could come and talk to people that they know, could come to the drug place and have a phone number and see it on TV, which you guys are not decided. And I feel sorry for you guys that you don't have a Musk among you.
Thanks, Frank. Anyone else have anything?
It's my personal opinion.
I hope so. Thank you, everyone, and we are adjourned.